Reports keep coming in from all over the globe confirming it as true. To say that the world is in a state of shock this morning would be to understate the situation. The event seems to have taken place at the same time all over the world just about 25 minutes ago. Suddenly and without warning, literally thousands, perhaps millions of people just disappeared.
Welcome to the best podcast that most people have never heard of, but soon will. I'm Dietrich.
And I am Lennox.
So the moment has finally arrived where we're going to discuss the digital identity in a practical sense, looking at what it is and who, if any, are going to be using these digital IDs. If we're not, is it a possibility in the near future? And will a national digital ID be the mark of the beast? And if it is, how will we know? Since COVID, we've seen a highly motivated push for everything to be digital. At work, you've got digital security gadgets, you've got smart keys, automated gates and doors. When you're traveling, you now have electronic passports, electronic driver's license, and smart airports that are pushing for a cashless society.
Did you know, Dietrich, that in 2022, just 2 years ago, in the United States only, 2/5 of Americans did not use cash at all that year?
Did you know that in the United States, 7/8 of men did not have any cash because of their wives?
That's not true.
Yes, it is. I have done thorough research.
That means zero traders.
40% of us did not use cash at all.
That was by Pew Research, and it's been a couple years, and so I'm sure it's a little higher now. But that's almost half of the country. Wow. What do you think it will be by 2030? You know that WEF magic date? Even national digital IDs are now used in other countries.
So you might be asking, what exactly is a digital ID? It's a digital identity that uniquely identifies a person online or offline. It's a unique identity number, like a social security number.
Or it includes things like vaccination codes.
That's an important thing to have.
Of course it is. We need to think about our neighbor's health.
Yes, love your neighbor, wear a mask. Because that's all more important than the name or the place that's going to be on that digital ID.
It could also include your date of birth,
your citizenship, and more defined by whichever nation you're in and their laws. So it's going to look different depending upon where you're at.
Back in 2016, there was a summit here in New York. It was called the ID 2020 Summit. The United Nations initiated discussions around digital identity and its benefits for the underprivileged.
And how do underprivileged benefit from this?
I don't know. They invited 400 experts, though, and they shared their best practices and ideas on providing universal identity to all.
So numerous new national ID programs have been launched. There's tons of countries that have them. Algeria, Belgium, Philippines, Kyrgyzstan, Italy, Thailand, Turkey, they're all over the place.
Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Jamaica, Zambia. And in 2017, Australia launched its first phase of its digital identity program.
In Germany, they had their citizens store their government-issued ID on their phone to use as a digital ID. This started in 2021.
And the United Nations aims to provide everyone on the planet with a legal identity by when? Oh, you guessed it, 2030.
Yeah, which is, of course, going to make traveling between countries safe and swift and secure. This is the enticement for people to buy into it by creating smart borders and smart airports, making flying into another country seem seamless, which is, again, one of the WEF's goals to help make it so immigration's easier.
Why do you think Biden and Harris, instead of keeping Trump's border policies that were working,
we're not,
change them on day one to what they are now?
Because they're better.
Yeah, right. For them, I guess, not for Americans. But the media hasn't covered it. But for the last 4 years in the United States, Biden and Harris opened up our borders, and all the world now knows our borders are open. We are allowing people from not just Central America in, but from 175 plus countries. Now, there's only 195 countries in the world. We're letting all but 20 come into our country. Most people would say, well, it's to get more Democrat votes so the Democrats can remain in power. Well, we've even said that. But I believe that is only a small piece of the puzzle. I believe this right here is the bigger reason for open borders, because leftists, those puppets here in the United States who are members of these global organizations, are setting up the U.S.'s version of reaching this UN goal, which is to help give the underprivileged access to the internet, making it possible to give everyone a digital legal identity.
Why are we taking in so many Haitians? Only 1/3 of the citizens of Haiti have access to the internet, and that's just, of course, one part of it. Now, we just covered Mauritania, which is in Africa. How many in their country have internet access? 44%. Now, of course, in America, they're all going to.
We've been exploiting our laws through things like the CBP One app, for example, created by Biden and Harris administration, designed to circumvent the U.S. current immigration laws, where illegals will contact our government to make an appointment for us to go pick them up. Our government then flies over on taxpayer dime, picks them up, and then delivers them into desired ports of entry, making travel into the U.S. very seamless.
And that was a very fancy way of saying dropping them off into red states.
Yeah, thus establishing them financially and giving them internet access, which will make it easier to give these individuals, once again, a digital identity when this rolls out. And this, again, bears repeating, helping the United Nations accomplish what their discussions back in 2016 encouraged each country to create. Now, that is just my opinion, but we all know that my opinions are always right.
And if you'd like a second opinion on that, send an email to linuxisfullofcrap@gmail.com. Now, you might say, but the U.S. hasn't implemented a digital national ID yet. Yes, that's correct, but it's coming. And be prepared, because back in 2021, the Democrat-led Congress passed a bill called the Digital Equity Act. Don't you love that? Digital equity. We need more equity.
We don't have enough of it.
Yeah, we have to make it so everyone has equal access to computers, don't we?
Because it is a necessity, not a luxury.
And that's what this bill states. Individuals can't buy their own computers, then Americans have to pay for their own and yours, even if you don't live here.
All federal agencies are making it a priority to implement this kind of an ID system, from the Department of Commerce to the Treasury Department to Homeland Security. All of these agencies are creating and testing a digital ID system. And we are still in our developmental stage, but know it is being piloted as we speak. Several states here in the U.S. have already begun to launch a digital driver's license. Ohio is one of them. It is called the Ohio Apple Wallet ID.
But it's not just enough to have just a digital ID, right? Now we need digital money. Other countries have been experimenting, and a few have put theirs in place in this article published by CNN. Not usually a good source, but we can use it for this topic. I thought this summary was something that was good to share.
And it reads like this, and I quote, "As of March 2024, there are only 3 surviving digital currencies in use, down from a peak of 11 at the end of 2022, Atlantic Council data show. Those 3, Bahamas, Jamaica, and Nigeria."
And going on, the article says, still, banks and governments from another 36 countries have ongoing CBDC pilots, including the digital euro, all the members of the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, so far, the U.S. is still in an exploratory phase, with the Biden administration announcing an executive order in 2022 that led to further research into digital currencies, end quote. Now, you can read our articles by CNN or Forbes that explains this in more detail in our podcast description. Because of the complexity of this type of system and with so many involved, it could be a few years off. But we know it's coming, and there sure is a lot of motivation out there from some groups for this to happen.
Of course, the promise will be no more identity theft. You know that banks and businesses will jump on that.
Yeah, but what's going to be the repercussions? Well,
as we've said before in other episodes, there will be no more privacy. No more, this money is my money, because you and I both know that the government will block access to your funding, just like what Canada's government did to those truckers who participated in protest against strict COVID mandates by their government.
if you do something that they don't like, you will lose your livelihood due to not being able to access your money. I want you to listen to this guy at the WEF sharing about digital currency and what could happen.
The benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it as a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like, say, ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
These individuals who are the experts are saying this, not Joe Blow on Facebook or off the street. And this expert who was talking is explaining the downside to this centralized digital banking and how it will be programmable. And because it can be programmed, it will not be unthinkable to have government control what we buy.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dietrich. You bought too many guns. You can't purchase anymore for the next 3 years or we'll cut off access to your money. What are you talking about? I haven't bought a gun in 5 years. One gun every 10 years is all you're allowed.
Or you have driven over 200 miles this month and contributed to climate catastrophe. So you cannot drive anymore or buy any more gas for your car.
But you're more than welcome to purchase this EV at $98,000.
Or I think you've bought too much beef and our goal is for you to eat less. I can still eat some, but you can't.
These cockroaches here are lovely, though. They're a great source of protein and delicious.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you are part of that garbage crowd that Biden said you were. You lose all your buying privileges.
I'm sorry, your 401k just disappeared. We can't imagine where it went.
Yeah, I want to go back to this digital identity because it is worth reiterating that this ID will be for more than just identification. Remember, Klaus Schwab, who is the founder, the leader of the World Economic Forum, said back in 2017 that this will be used for tracking individuals' biometric surveillance. They will be able to read under the skin, possibly something implanted in your body like a microchip, and they will be able to monitor everything about you, like your heart rate, your blood pressure. They'll be able to tell if you have COVID or not, or any kind of future viruses that they plan to release.
In our episode about the false prophet, we introduced you to Yuval Noah Harari. This is who's speaking in this next audio that we're going to play. Catch this.
Until today, most surveillance was above the skin, and now it's going under the skin. What I mean by that is that until today, most surveillance, whether by corporations like Facebook or Amazon, or whether by governments, it was mostly about what you do in the world, where you go, who you meet, which TV shows you see, which news you read online. But they didn't look under the skin what's happening inside your body, inside your brain. Now, the main thing we want to know is actually inside the body. We want to know whether you're sick or not, whether you have COVID-19, what's your body temperature, your blood pressure, your heart rate. And this changes the nature of surveillance. Of course, at present, the focus is just on the disease, but feelings are biological phenomena just like diseases. The same surveillance that can tell whether you have COVID-19 can also tell when you're angry, when you're joyful, when you're bored. So if you're now watching this interview and you have, say, a biometric bracelet on your wrist that monitors what's happening in your body, I could know whether you agree with me or not. Whether you think that, oh, this is scary, or nah, this is crazy. What is this guy talking about? Whether you are bored or whatever. Now imagine 10 years from now in a place like, I don't know, North Korea, when every citizen has to wear a biometric bracelet 24 hours a day. And if you watch a speech by the big leader, you can smile and you can clap your hands, but you have no control over what's happening inside your body. If you're actually angry about the big leader, they will know it. This is a kind of totalitarian system that even George Orwell didn't imagine in 1984.
In listening to this guy, my mind went back to those movies from the 70s, A Thief in the Night, I think it was Distant Thunder and Image of the Beast, or even the book series, Left Behind, where it kind of gave the impression that you could fool the government during this period of time by pretending to have a mark on your forehead or hand. Well, obviously, with this kind of technology and how advanced it will be, you won't be able to. It doesn't sound like you will. The government officials, or more specifically, the Antichrist and the false prophet and all their minions, will know through this digital technology whether you are loyal to them or not.
So will putting this chip in your body be the mark of the beast then? Statements in Revelation make it clear the mark of the beast is not something that's taken by accident.
Those who accept this mark do so knowing that it means worshiping the beast and rejecting God.
Putting a microchip in your body doesn't seem to me the mark of the beast. Now, do I want to put a microchip in my body? Absolutely not. But notice what Scripture says here in Revelation 13:14.
It says, "And with all the miracles he, being the false prophet, was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast," that's the Antichrist, "he deceived all the people who belong to this world. He ordered the people to make a great statue of the first beast." That's what we talked about in the previous episode, called the Abomination of Desolation.
This identification of 666, or the mark of the beast, it's going to be implemented or mandated when this image is put in the place of worship, or the new Jewish temple. This is the time frame that we're looking at.
Individuals will be receiving this mark for the sole purpose to show allegiance to this man, this Antichrist. But the mark of the beast will be a global activity, not a national one, which means it just won't be happening in your country. It'll be happening all over.
Yeah, so it's going to be done all across the world. But I want to leave you with this verse of warning and hope that Jesus says to us in God's word in Matthew 10:28. Don't be afraid of the one who can kill the body,
but fear the one who can kill body and soul. Until next time, my fellow traders.